Hi there, welcome everyone. This is a webinar from Admiral Markets and my name is Chris. And together we're going to take a look at fibs and waves today on this Tuesday the 3rd of November, and we've got a new month ahead of us. We're going to take a look at what we can expect in terms of fibs and waves on the Forex markets, and also take a look at some indices and commodities. Before we start, though, be aware that this webinar is intended for a global audience, yet may not be suitable for everyone. Therefore, take a look at admiralmarketsglobal.com, take a look at the conditions and other details, and select your country of residence to contact an appropriate entity to find out more about that. Also, please be aware that trading for exchange and global financial markets is considered high risk and may not be suitable for everyone. Therefore, please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. This webinar is not advice and is for informational and educational purposes only. By continuing watching this webinar, you agree with this disclaimer and you are aware of the risk involved when trading. All right. Just in case you're not aware, MetaTrader 4 Supreme Edition is created by Admiral Markets and has a lot of additional features, correlation matrix, alarm manager, easy risk management calculator for lot sizes, a lot of tick charts, a lot of extra things, 56 to be precise, that are not typically included in MetaTrader 4. So that's something that's interesting. Take a look at admiralmarkets.com to find out more information about that. Of course, last week we had some interesting news on FOMC. Last week, Wednesday, and we didn't get an interest rate hike, but the door is still open for December. Whether we will get that will for sure partly depend on the data we will get throughout the next weeks. One of them is going to be this Friday with NFP. So that's going to be interesting. ADP on Wednesday. And I guess every moment, every one of these data points is going to be watched very carefully if we get a rate hike or not. And of course, this game, or it's not a game, but this choice that the FOMC has to make every month or so almost, it has been going on for quite a while, as we know. We're talking about it. Will we hike it? Will it go up? Yes, no, yes, no. And it's been a constant no, because the rate hasn't been up since 10 years ago. Now, will it happen in December? What I read about percentages is that I think the analysts, they're about 35% that expected December. That could have changed. It was about a week ago, I think, or two. But at that time, it was 35%. And I think by March or April, it was up to 70 or 65. And then by June, I think it was up to 75 or 80. And then September next year, all the way up at 90. So basically within a year, very high chance that it will go up, but maybe not so high of a chance, 1 out of 3 in December. Just to give you an idea what the market is expecting at that time, about a week ago, as I said. That's always, constantly changing to a certain degree, but I don't know, I wouldn't expect a big difference from a week ago to now. So yeah, there is a small chance December, but it's not the majority, it doesn't seem that likely. Well, anyhow, that's regarding FOMC. We have some big news later this week on Wednesday and tomorrow, actually, and Friday. Yesterday, or today actually, the RBA interest rate decision stayed at 2%, but the RBA, Reserve Bank of Australia, said, okay, we're not going to decrease it now. They want to avoid overheating the property market apparently in Sydney, but they are still leaving it on the table, depending on how developments go, to do some monetary policy easing and drop the rate perhaps to 1.75 in December. Other than that, what do we got here going on? We have some green and yellow events, all kind of news events, but nothing very major apparently. Some speeches here as well. And by the way, pound, of course, on Thursday we have a big news event too. We're looking at rate votes and interest rates and statements and the whole lot on Thursday. That's a big pound day, by the way. All right, let me open the chat box so that let me see if anyone wrote something. In the meantime, good morning, Caitlin. Is the sound okay today? Hope that you had everyone had a good weekend, by the way, and Monday in the meantime. Great. I'm not using the microphone. I'm using my headset this time. My weekend was uh, good, but there was something quite funny happening in our street. There was actually a movie being filmed in the street where I live. So I had to repark the car. All cars were gone, in fact. They even repainted all or they took away actually all the paint on the street, the marking like residential zone and all the signs, because it was supposed to be actually a scenario in the Second World War, so back in the 40s. So, those markers were taken away, and there was a lot of action in the street. Cars driving back and forth, and cameras in the air, and so that was quite funny to see that. Actually, I was sometimes scared to leave my own home, or apartment building, I should say. But that was quite funny. It was actually turned out to be a Chinese movie, in fact, which took me by surprise. Didn't expect that. But yeah, Chinese movie about the Second World War here in this Prague street. So I'm curious to see that. Uh, let's see, big movers. Okay, Arne is saying that the sound is fragmental or fragmented. I think he means not fluent, not proper. Does anyone else have that problem? Okay, Caitlin does hear me good. Anyone else? Um, maybe do you hear me good well? So we got a third or fourth opinion, perhaps, just in case. In the meantime, we can see some big stock movements here. Exxon making a big leap, Caterpillar. I don't know what CVX is by heart, to be honest, but that's the biggest one, 458. And HPQ, wow, that's difficult to believe. We got some euro currency pairs, almost 50% down. We got some currency pairs in this list as well. 0.65. Let's see. Pound New Zealand, as always, the biggest one, or one of the biggest ones. Euro New Zealand 2, got a pound odd, big movers. But you can see the market not really going up or down that much. I mean, we have odd New Zealand, the Euro New Zealand, that are close to 0.7% ish, 0.6, but a lot of them hanging around the zero line. Monday, from that point of view, indeed, um, often enough, not really a big moving day. And you can look at the market heat map and pretty much see that back in this chart. All right, that's the market heat map. You can find it on Admiral Markets website. You can go to Analytics, click on Market Heat Map. Let's take a look at our currency pairs now. Anyone else? Once again, the question is, do you hear me properly? Yes, no, yes, no, no, yes. One more opinion, please. Okay, MJ. And maybe it's you. We have two people who say it's okay, or three people that it is okay. So I guess it's okay. Um, maybe try logging in or out, okay? Alrighty. Great. We got a fourth one, Adriano, saying the same thing. Perfect. So from a wave and fib perspective, what are we looking at? We've got a lot of things to discuss because waves offer a lot of ways of looking at the market, a lot of discussion points. First of all, let's take a look at some waves on the euro dollar, pound USD, and dollar yen. All right, this is the euro dollar 4-hour chart. And to me, this is looking like, it's difficult maybe to see, but it's looking like a purple wave 4. And that's basically logical. We see a bearish impulse. We see a dark red, brownish 1, then 2, and we're in a wave 3 probably. And within that wave 3, we're seeing an acceleration of 1, 2, 1, 2, probably 3, 4, 5. This could be again a 4, and we move down for another 5. Now, wave 4s typically go to a shallow fib, like the 38.2 fib, max the 50 fib, or the 23.6 fib. So price has reached the 38.2 fib here and stops. Also, waves 4 tend to stop at the wave 4 of one level lower, which is indeed this top. So from that point of view, we are in a resistance zone. There's a trend line not all too far away. So if it's going to turn, it should be turning here and not much higher, maybe the 50 fib max, if it is a wave 4. And I would say there's a good chance that this is a wave 4 indeed. So when we get a wave 4 here and price falls below this support trend line, we can get the wave 5. That wave 5, I wouldn't expect to go that far. We got maybe this trend line coming in right here. I would expect price to stop there again and perhaps make one more wave 4 correction and then down again to finish not the brown 3, but then the brown 5. That brown 5 is either finishing a green 3 or a green C, as you can see, which is the next level again. So that happens often when you have an impulse. Then you get a lot of waves 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, finishing 3 again, and eventually you get divergence and you'll probably see a bigger correction or reversal. Now at this moment I'm actually favoring a green C because all in all, if I look at the daily chart, this motion here, this like that, seems to be quite on the slow side. The downside momentum since the turn at B has been relatively on the slow side. It's been fast, but it's been, for wave 3, typically we would see a huge impulse and it would really start falling fast. And I think the chances of that are decreasing. I wouldn't say it's totally off the table, but I don't think the price movement has gone that far either. We just barely have broken this bottom. And this is the minus 272 target right in here. Actually, when you put a fib on the first swing high, swing low here on A. We just hit the minus 272 target right there. So no, we haven't, the price has not really accelerated and made a lot of bearish movement. It's been decent, but not tremendous. Therefore, the odds of an ABC, I think, are better than the 1, 2, 3. And that monthly chart has to do with it too. We've had months and months not breaking 105, 104.50. Last month it didn't happen. September didn't happen. And therefore, I think the price could stay in a bigger consolidation for the moment. So I'm leaning towards a green C, but it doesn't mean that this cannot be a purple 4. It certainly could, or pink 4. No, purple. It certainly could, because within that green C, we could still have some, a couple of breaks to the downside. In fact, if you look at the oscillator, look at this orange box. it shows a very, pretty decent, powerful reading on that oscillator. I'm not saying that there's no impulse there. There certainly is. But on the daily chart, it didn't really push too far. But on a 4-hour chart, pretty decent oscillator reading. And we retrace back to the zero line, look at the purple box, as you can see right there. So no divergence on the 4-hour chart, which increases the chances that we're going to make the break that I just talked about here. Oh, 1 second. I'm trying to draw something like an arrow. Yeah, we're going to make that red arrow. And price is going to break the 109 bottom to get divergence between the oscillators. There's no divergence on the oscillator. It's been a decent strength to the downside, and the oscillator has to get back to the middle line. So there's a high probability that price is going to break the wave 3 purple bottom. Go down to 108 like this, and then probably bounce up again for another correction. So I'll talk about this idea in a second. Let me just finish the wave counts. Here you can see that a bit better on a 1-hour chart perhaps. So what am I looking for is this break right in here. Down to the 61.8 target at 107.70, which is the trend line support as well, the blue line. And obviously I'm not expecting price to go above 111.37. Two trend lines, fib, wave 4, etc. Pretty similar to this break and this break. All right, 4-hour chart, pound USD. Here too, I'm favoring more of an ABC. You see on the left, a purple A and a purple B. And becoming a bit more likely that there's an ABC formation and maybe less likely an A1-2. Just because of the time aspect. Now, once the orange line breaks here in the 100% level, then I would say that is for sure invalidating the pink 1 and 2 without any doubt. It's not necessarily invalidating the blue 1 and 2, but these 1 and 2, but I do think that there's a good chance that the wave structure is different than I have here, and I will seriously redraw this probably into probably an ABC and the purple C ending here, and then this is probably already maybe a bullish correction to the upside. So there's going to be some significant changes if price breaks through that orange and the 100% level. That hasn't happened as yet, so I still leave it like this. I think there's a decent chance that it could happen, but it hasn't happened yet. So I still leave it like this. This is, at this moment, this wave count is maybe not even the most likely one, but it's still not invalidated. And it was the most likely one about a week ago. But as long as it's not invalidated, sometimes I do change it, not always. It depends from case to case. In this case, really, I think there's not another count that is very, very strong and necessarily a must to put on the chart. So at this moment, I would say the pound USD is just very difficult chart. It's more of a triangle formation, and it really depends on to which side it breaks out. And the wave structure will change or adjust accordingly to the breakout it makes. Price is pretty much locked in between these support and resistance levels. So I'm not, from a trading perspective, I'm not too keen on any trades here or setups at this point in time. But clear invalidation level, also clear breakout level if it breaks the support, which then could see a breakout to the downside. Now, at the moment, I have this as a 1-2. As you can see, this could be the start. So perhaps some weakness here, we could have a head and shoulders, right? Like that. I'll draw it a bit better maybe. Here's the left shoulder. This is the head. And this could be your right shoulder, perhaps as a 1-2 and then move down back to the bottom, for instance, of that support trend line. So although the 4-hour chart does not look that interesting, perhaps some weakness for downside on the pound USD could be a trade to think about as I go along later in this webinar. Dollar yen, also quite choppy, quite rangy, but it's more of a sideways range on this 4-hour chart. Within this range, there could be an ABC blue, as you can see. That would require a break below the support trend line. If price breaks above the resistance, then it would change this structure just a tad, not much. Basically, it would confirm the fact that there could be a Y of X here, which is what I'm expecting. But before I expect that, I would expect a dip for wave C before moving up again. That's what I'm currently expecting. Downside break, hit support, move back up. That's the 4-hour chart. Although with a range like this, it's always been more difficult maybe to expect what's going on, but this is my primary focus. All right, so let's see if we get the downside break here on this dollar yen and then upside. Alrighty, so 4-hour chart. Now, I won't do this process for every currency pair, don't worry. But obviously we have a month of October finished, so we have monthly candles to look at. And whatever pair you look at, I do think it makes sense to take a quick look at a monthly candle. It takes 1 or 2 minutes, and you already have some information in your pocket. And I think it's just valuable to take a look at those levels. High, low, where's the close in relationship to the higher low and the open? What kind of candle formation do we have? And well, we do have a bearish candle on this euro dollar. The close is not very near the low. Furthermore, price did not break through this support level here. That is August and July low, and price has not managed to push through that, which means that this bullish candle is still, dominating the field, I would say here, the chart, and therefore not the bearish is not as much as I would have expected, perhaps. In any case, I think the bearishness is a bit disappointing here. Yes, the downside was very strong, good downside trend candles, but anyone who knows my time factor also knows, yes, the blue bar is a mother candle indeed. And anyone who knows my funny way of putting it, and anyone who knows my time factor knows that this is the 7th month that didn't break the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, that, according to my time factor at least, indicates that the impulse is over. This impulse, therefore, is completed, and this is a correction. Now, from my perspective, from my analysis, obviously, if the FOMC Fed decides to make the rate hike on December, my time factor is not going to be that important probably, and this is going to move lower. Fine. But on average, my time factor analysis does a pretty good job, in my opinion. So therefore, I'm expecting a bigger consolidation. And as what I've seen is the 13th candle has a higher chance of a break, which will bring us somewhere around April. Let's see if that holds true. But that's my 2 cents at the moment. I, at the beginning of the year, had parity as a target, 40 euro dollar. Didn't make it quite yet, 104.50. And I don't think it's going to happen this year. I changed my kind of estimate here for the long term. But I do think it could happen next year. So let's zoom into a bit lower time frames here. Last week was a doji. So last week's high is still very important. Yeah, definitely a flag. Sorry if I think I didn't mention it, but yeah, I've obviously a correction, right? That's what I did say, a correction. And yeah, the corrective formation looks like a flag or some range, definitely. And that will break, but I don't think, according to my time factor at least, um, the chances of a break now are not that high anymore, and will be higher from the 13th candle, which is around April. So April, sorry if that was not clear. April then, what I mean with April is that then I would expect this break to happen indeed. So this is then downside correction, and then it's a question of time before that flag should break to the downside indeed. Now, I would not expect a retracement deeper than this 50 fib. We hit the 38.2 fib already. So if it breaks above the 50, it could still move up to the 50 at the max, but not above it. Otherwise, something else is going on, and it's the chances of a 1, 2, 3, 4 are significantly less, if not very low. So as long as price stays below the 38.2 fib, very bearish in the long term. Alrighty, weekly chart, you can see this flag pattern a bit better. And these bottoms very important. Plus, of course, this 104.5 bottom. And I'm not expecting a break of 104.5 bottom, as you already know, but it could break this 108 bottom. I'm not saying that it couldn't, but I'm not expecting 105, 104.50 break. Let's see, daily chart. Now you can see maybe why I'm not seeing this as a wave 3 as yet. This has, or if this is a wave 1, then this should be the wave 3. Well, it could still be a wave 1, 2, 1, 2. That's possible. That could be another scenario, but looking at the higher time frames, I'm not expecting that. So this is more, at this moment, I would say more looking like an A, B, oh, A, sorry about that, A, B, C. And whether that C is finished, I'm not sure. It could still actually, no, as you know, it could still move a bit lower, like this, and then finish. When I put a fib on this swing high, swing low, on the A part of the ABC, we hit the 61.8 fib here, and we just hit the minus 272 target, so the next target could be the 108, and then after that, the 107, which is minus 61.8, max the minus 1000 target, 104.50. Right there. So down to the 4-hour chart, and we can see that there is a heavy zone of resistance. We got these bottoms, we got these tops here. We got fibs, as you know from the wave chart, 38.2 fib, 50 fib perhaps. So anywhere in here is resistance. Now, if it does move up there, I think good reasons for shorts. If it doesn't, then it would have to break below 4-hour fractal support levels around here. I would like to see a break below 110. So for me, that's really critical. It's either a move up to 111, 111.25 for shorts, or a break below 110 for shorts. All right, moving to the 1-hour chart. You can see 4-hour candle, bullish candle. That low, I think, needs to break. That's the initial low of this week so far. So any break below that horizontal line would also break this trend line or this trend line. So I think that's what we need right there. It's a bit higher actually, right there. So the low is 110 exactly, in fact. So yeah, might even consider a pending order 109.70 perhaps. Stop loss 110.80. about 110 pips with a pending order. Another option is to wait for the candle to finish, see where the close is. Is it near the low? Is it a good size candle? Preferably, maybe, let's see, something like 50 pips, which would bring price down to 110.70-ish, 109.70-ish, like here. The close should be near the low, and then a pullback to about 109.90-ish with the stop loss even above that candle high. Would give a bit tighter stop loss and would try to catch the downside too. Let's take a look what the target is. Well, we have bigger bottoms in play here, 108. So yeah, probably 108.30. Yeah, around 108.30, I would say. 140, 160 pip fall potential. And that's where I would expect price to make another correction like this and probably make one more fall down to 107. Yep. All right. If you have any questions, let me know. But that's it about, I mean, that's, I think that's it on the euro dollar. We've got, as I said, good oscillator readings here. Typical strength pullback and continuation style. So yeah, 110 needs to break, and I think that the euro dollar has everything set up here for a decent short and some decent territory to fall. Alrighty, pound USD. 50-minute charts. Let's see. We'll take a look at the 5-minute chart quickly. Trying to see if there's a 5-wave pattern on the 5-minute chart. If this is a wave 1, 2, perhaps another 1, 2. Could still be a wave 4. This correction could still be a wave 4. Well, it might not even get up to this head and shoulder level. Maybe this is already the weakness. As I said, there could be some, on the 1 hour chart I was talking about on the headed wave, just in case you missed it, is that we're at a very high resistance level and we didn't break that resistance level yet. So there is the potential for maybe a bigger retracement here back to support. And from that point of view, this could be a bit of a head and shoulders pattern. Yesterday was a bearish candle, bearish candlesticks here. So I think this is a potential, even if it's just an ABC correction, for some downside. Let me put a fib on this particular swing high, swing low. So there are two options, I would say. If it does get up to the 61.8, I'm not sure how this hourly is going to close. This could still be a weakness sign right in here. Or if it does show something like this, like an engulfing twin, then that could be a potential short for a, sorry, potential, yeah, short for a move down to the minus 61.8 target. So I'll keep an eye on that at the end of the hour. We've got 40 minutes left, and take a look at some other pairs in the meantime. From the higher perspective, I already talked about it on the wave analysis, is that this is starting to look more like a ABC correction like this, because price is still in this zone, and it could be many 1-2s, but it's not really moving down very enthusiastically at the moment. And if there is going to be a big wave 3, it's going to need to push quite fast and a lot through these support levels. And well, so far it's moving up. So it's not looking like we're going to get a big downtrend continuation. In fact, if I look at the weekly chart, this is starting to look like a correction after an upside impulse. And I would not therefore be surprised whether this is turning out to be a correction to the opposite direction, a bullish correction, in fact, like this, starting to look a bit like a bull flag, isn't it? Do you see it? So yes, we had downside impulse. It could have been 1-2. There were reasons to think about it, that this was a head and shoulders pattern. We broke the neckline, made a good impulse, made a deep pullback for a red 2. That's okay, right? Look at the break of the green line here. Clear head and shoulders, clear neckline, break with an impulse in red 1, deep hook back, that's fine. And then we moved down again, right? Which definitely could be part of the wave 3. But we stopped too early for that. So it could have been a wave 1 of 3, right? Wave 1, 2 of 3. But now we're really, the more we stay in this zone, the more this is starting to look like a bull flag, in fact. And if price does break through the top of that flag, that trend line and this trend line, then that could be a weekly breakout to the upside with a target up to this fib. Here's the 50 fib. The target is the 61.8 fib at 161.85 roughly. So that would be the upside break right there. And of course, to be cautious of this top 2. That's the higher time perspective. All right. Well, let's see if it does break through this mini bottom in here. I think we have some space to fall to retest this bottom, for instance. There could be some pause here as well. Roughly speaking, let's see I'll calculate these Fibonacci sequence levels. Yeah, roughly in here. So there could be a fall like this and perhaps even an extension like that. But all in all, still, even after the downside, we could be, bumping into some support level as the triangle kind of continues on this pound USD. So I'll take a look at it at the end of the hour. At the end of the hour, dollar yen weekly chart and monthly chart. Let's take a look. Well, it just shows the consolidation that we're having. Yeah, there was an uptrend, but now a big consolidation. So the idea I had in mind was if it does move up, to find rejection in these tops, basically, in this resistance zone, or a break below the support level. And well, I don't know. Let's see. I think the volatility is a bit on the low side here, and there are not a lot of movements being made. I not maybe that big of a fan of the dollar yen at the moment, but yeah, it is in a resistance zone. It could be rejected here, but the movement is quite tight. Audio is the daily chart is an interesting one. We've had a downtrend, of course, for a while on this weekly chart and monthly chart for that matter. And recently we hit the minus 272 target. If you put a fib from here to here, you can see minus 272 target hit. So we could have space down to the minus 61.8. After maybe consolidation at the moment, we're making a bit of a correction. And maybe we can use this bottom again as a rejection zone. All right, so from this point of view, we hit the target, now making a bullish correction. You can see that on the daily chart like this, kind of making a flag as well, just like the euro dollar that Caitlin mentioned. And you can see that we're at the bottom of this potential bear flag. So the top of that bear flag is 75, as you can see. So I think that could be a good, interesting short zone at the top of that bear flag, back at the bottom. That could be one short. The other short could be the break of this bear flag, obviously, now or in the future, for a move down to 63. Those are short ideas because obviously from a weekly perspective, we are in a downtrend. But making a correction on the daily. So those are potential continuations, but those are very high time frames. Let's zoom into the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart actually has this bullish angled channel, which is a bear flag on the daily, but it is a angled bullish angled channel. And from that point of view, we do have space maybe up to that top of that channel and back to the bottom here. And therefore, if price does break above this resistance line and above these bottoms, there could be a breakout trade within this channel to the upside. So that could be an interesting trade actually to the upside within on this 4-hour world here. Now we're at a rejection zone. So here we actually could see price maybe still make a retest of that trend line before moving up. So at this particular spot, actually, it's more of a short potential, perhaps, than a long potential. Of course, we just had the interest rate news and there was a big bullish candle. So from that point of view, looking from a price action point of view, I wouldn't be trading maybe this rejection right, or this resistance right now. If it were not for the news event, it could be a different story. Maybe we'd wait for this 4-hour candle to close, for instance, or even take a short right in here. That's a short idea that, however, is facing a bit of a strong bullish price action, so might not be the best one. As I said, because of the news event, could be cautious because of that. However, in theory, the idea could work out that we could see a rejection back to support. Maybe better to wait for a bounce back here for upside or the break above resistance up to that top of that bear flag on the daily. All right, so although the daily and weekly have bearish environments, the 4-hour and hourly are showing potential upside trades. Of course, that changes if this trend line is broken. If the support trend line breaks, then in that case, we're seeing a breakout to the downside, and the daily and weekly is going to continue with that downtrend probably. So I think that the bounce off this trend line is pretty straightforward. Just wait for price to get here. Could be a pending order even, well, yeah, maybe, or a market order. Stop loss below this bottom. The breakout is a bit trickier, especially if we don't get the pullback. Preferably would like to see a pullback and then the breakout happen. If the breakout happens now, it would have to be, well, that's a bit more difficult. I'm not a big fan of trading it right now. I would rather wait for a pullback. The breakout would occur if we get a good 4-hour candle that's clearly above this trend line and has a majority of the candle above it. But even if it does that, I think I would rather wait for a bit of a pullback. in any case. All right, Kiwi daily chart is looking like more and more starting to look like a bull flag within after an upside impulse. And well, this bull flag has been already in its 12th day. So sooner or later, it's actually starting to be ready for a break. I would say tomorrow it would be already a good breakout scenario. And this bull flag could be ready for a continuation to the upside. Target could be if we put a fib from here to here. We hit the 38.2 fib. This target could be the minus 272 target at 70.77. And this is something that Caitlin actually was talking to me about last week. He showed me his analysis and he was bullish. And I agree with him. I just said that I think there could be a bit of a pullback here still before making the upside. And that's what's not 100% sure. It's kind of consolidating at this trend line. So we'll have to see if it makes that pullback or not. This could be just a small bull flag as well, and it might break like that tomorrow. Or we make a dip and then do like that. I think both are equally likely at the moment. And as long as price stays above the 38.2 fib, it looks bullish to me. So I think this has a pretty good potential for upside this week together with the Aussie. Let's see, but I think that those are interesting pairs in any case. And euro dollar too for downside. And yeah, those are the three most interesting ones. Pound and the dollar yen look less interesting. From a wave perspective, I do think that if it does get up to 70.77, that is again a turning spot for downside. And it could be a wave 4 correction, or but in any case, it's a high likelihood of turn back down and perhaps even downtrend continuation. If this is a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and this could be still wave 5 left. Now I know that typically waves 4 don't have, go beyond the 38.2 fib, and we already hit the 38.2 fib. But as long as price does not go into wave 1, which is here, it should still be okay for potential wave 4. So it shouldn't cross above this bottom, I would say, 71.60. Or else it's not a wave 4. But don't forget that although most wave 4s are 38.2 fibs or shallow fibs, sometimes it's not a rule. It's a guideline. So it doesn't always happen, and perhaps this is a deeper wave 4. But if it does cross into, I would say, above this bottom, then it's something else is going on. How about the Kiwi wave count? The Aussie wave count, sorry. Also, more or less looks like a wave 3. Although it's really a tight wave 3, maybe actually, this momentum here is not really that strong. So compared to this bottom, comparing these bottoms, the wave 3 should always have the strongest bottom on the oscillator. So it's a tight one if it is a wave 3 or not. It could also be an ABC. And in that regard, wave C has gone already quite a distance. If it's wave 3, it would be normal. Wave C has gone really far. Let's take a look at the daily. And it does give a bit of supporting evidence for upside trade because perhaps we finished a wave 5 on this daily chart right here. And it does give a bit of supporting evidence for upside trade because perhaps we finished a wave 5 on this daily chart right here. And it does give a bit of supporting evidence for upside trade because perhaps we finished a wave 5 on this daily chart right here. And it does give a bit of supporting evidence for upside trade because perhaps we finished a wave 5 on this daily chart That's this part. And even the weekly could have finished to 5. Now, I don't want to dismiss or rule out the downside because sometimes you get extensions. And that's sometimes actually very difficult for reversal traders because they see a lot of maybe evidence, but then they still get the trend continuation just because of extensions. So always be careful of that. But there is some supportive reason here regarding divergence between these daily bottoms and 5 wave counts and this channel to see that the upside has potential here on this odd USD, I would say. At least for this month. Maybe not in the long term, as I said. I mean, the trend is strong to the downside as long as it stays at least below 75.25 and even below 77. It's still in very bearish territory. Alrighty, let's see. Caitlin, folks, Caitlin has a link there, so take a look if you want. And he's showing his analysis, so you can find out how he thinks and sees the charts in the chat box right there. But he summarizes it by saying that he sees the same thing, retrace to the downside and bounce up. I think Caitlin's probably talking about probably the Kiwi here. So that's cool. We got confluence in our analysis. That's great. And if it were not so, it's also great. Doesn't matter. But it's good to hear a different opinion. And I definitely encourage everyone to do the same as Caitlin. That's a great job. I think that sharing your charts, sharing analysis is a great learning curve. I know it's a bit scary at the beginning. You know, you don't want to. It's a difficult step. It's certain to a certain degree. Yes, I understand that because it's kind of a bit vulnerability that you're showing. Others can critique you. Others could say something you maybe not like. But it's I think a very great learning curve, a great learning step because it's I think encourages you to take another extra step to do a bit better job to be able to explain why you think this. I think it's really helps with developing yourself as a trader. So I think Caitlin does a great job on that. And maybe others are doing that as well, by the way. But all right, dollar CAD. Dollar CAD. I not a big fan of doing wave counts on dollar CAD. It's just one of those pairs that gives you a bit of a headache when you're looking at waves. But obviously, we've had a lot of upside, so we could consider that to be a decent momentum. And I'm sure we can count some wave threes in there, as you can see. And the question is that wave three over, or are we still going to push with some waves four and fives? You know, last time we had a big wave four was somewhere in here, wasn't it? Triangle formation still push up. And now what? Now it's kind of rounding, as you can see here. It had the break. It's well out of that channel. And is this a pullback for more downside, or is this actually going to be a trend continuation again? I think that's really what it's all about. Here we had a consolidation, channel up, broke. Is this a pullback for down, or is this still going to find one more push up and get even more divergence? Because yes, there is divergence between these two tops as well. Let me take a look where the top is here, like this. So it's not an easy chart, I think. The dollar CAD is not easy at the moment. Let me see how many. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 4th week. So according to my time factor, this and next week are going to be very important. You can see here we had a similar consolidation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th candle was bearish, and then we had indeed 22 candles before we made the breakout here on the weekly chart. Now, this is only the fifth candle, so yes, if it breaks above last week's high, which is about here, there could be a breakout to the upside. One more. But yeah, it's possible. I will keep an eye on it. I'm not going to jump into long, that's for sure, right away. I'm not that excited about it. But I will keep an eye on it, and if it does push through it, I will take a look what the options are for upside. Yeah, there are a lot of lines here. Now, if this is weakness, because this is some momentum here too, let's see. Got a triangle going on here, maybe even a break of this bottom already. I don't know. I'm analyzing it, but as you can see, I'm not really enthusiastic about any trades at the moment. But okay, I'll keep an eye on this support trend line. I'll keep an eye on the resistance trend lines. And see, what happens with this. I'll keep an eye on it, but not really that excited, as you can see. Euro yen, yeah, indeed. There are a lot of ways to analyze, that's for sure, without any doubt. Probably too many ways from that point of view. But even, and that's what we're going to do tomorrow. I know that I've been really focusing a lot on moving averages and stuff like that. That I wanted to do it a bit different tomorrow. I'm going to take a look at price action tomorrow. All right, that's tomorrow's point of view. We're going to take a look at price action. And Arn, I'm not sure what you mean. You mean me or yourself? I think that I didn't do that. I think it's just automatically done that the audience is muted. Otherwise, it could be a bit crowded if everyone starts to talk. Well, depending on how many people there are, but let's see. We got a correction here. At this resistance trend line, we have this support trend line. So it's a bit of maybe even a bull flag in a way on a weekly chart. Looking from this perspective, we can see maybe one more push up, break that trend line, break that top, and go up to this head and shoulders level. Maybe make weakness somewhere in here. So that breakout could still happen up to that resistance spot. That's impulse right here. Correction could happen, but of course we need to break above resistance for that. And we're not even close to that. So that's something of way later order. At the moment, price is actually right at close to support. And from that point of view, maybe more of a bouncing spot. So let's see. We can see maybe a retest of this bottom, and that could be a bouncing spot for a move up to the top of that channel. Alrighty. Other than that, I guess even if this bottom of the channel breaks, that could be a potential for downside. You never know. I mean, you want to think about all the options. All these trend lines have bounce or break spots. So that could be another option to retest this bottom like that. All right, so there are maybe some potential trades here let's take a look at, I'm talking about very high time frames at the moment. Let's see on the lower time frame perhaps how this looks like. 30-minute chart, break of this support, of course, could be still some weakness here as well, but the whole thing is quite choppy. And therefore, on the lower time frame, I'm not really enthusiastic about this euro yen, and would probably rather trade the euro dollar if I'm trading the euro. Let's see, Arn. Yeah, if you have any sound problems, I'm not sure. Others are hearing me fine, so I'm not sure what the problem could be. Maybe try to check with your settings on, you know, settings or something like that, or try to log in and out. That's the only thing I can advise you is to look at your, speakers or something, and or headset, or try a different headset, for instance. And regarding the muted stuff, as I said, all the other attendees are automatically muted. That is just automatically like that. All right. Alrighty. Got a pound yen channel. Interesting spot, close to support still, which certainly gives a potential for upside if it breaks through the local resistance here. And it already has bounced, obviously, here, a hook back after bouncing here and here. So that's a double hook back in a way. And it could be the start of a rally for continuation of this trend. And now we're close to resistance. But a break above that from a weekly perspective could be interesting. Weekly top is here at about 188. Let me zoom into lower time frames. Alrighty, 4-hour chart, slow but sure crawl to the upside, connecting these bottoms. We can see something like this, kind of weakening angle of the resistance. All right. Take a look at the hourly. Very choppy hourly. It's got some upside impulse. Uh, if anything, we're more of a resistance zone as yet. So, uh, if we see one more break of this top, we're getting into a higher resistance zone, higher level within that zone. Could be more of a short territory, to be honest. But if it does break eventually on a weekly chart, that could be a big breakout trade to the upside. But before that happens, there could be some down and up again. Yeah, so if it does break this top, I think we got divergence between these bottoms. Could be more of a downside play than upside, considering the resistance zone. All right, quickly take a look at this euro odd and pound odd. Very choppy. Downside angle here of this trend channel, in fact, after a big spike up. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a very choppy downside, but it is moving down. So, from that point of view, I think we could expect this to continue unless this trend line to the upside breaks. Let's zoom into a bit lower time frames now. Downside impulse, correction, and it looks like we're on the way already for a break to the downside. And there was a bit of a smaller, let's say, corrective zone, maybe perhaps like this, roughly, or maybe even like this. And we broke that to the downside. So for me, this looks more like a shorting territory after breaking these support levels. We had, of course, the news on the Aussie interest rate earlier today that created this big outside bar. And from that point of view, a pullback here, I think we can see a follow through. Let's see, put a fib on that downside move. 50 fib, stop loss above this resistance, I think could be a good short. Even the 38.2 fib probably. Let's take a look at the 15-minute chart. Kind of making a flag here as well on a lower time frame, going sideways. The bottom is around 150, 150. Let's see, this is hour 3, fourth hour. So maybe even if this bottom breaks at 152.70, 60. Let's see what the low is. 70, indeed, 152.70. Could be even worth looking at a 50-minute chart and see if price makes a pullback, breaks pullbacks, and continues. That could be worth it as well to keep an eye on that. Or if it pulls back to one of these fibs. I think it looks a decent setup, I would say, on the euro as well for downside, just like the euro dollar. So if I look at these currency pairs, I think euro looks good. I think that we didn't talk about the pound odd actually. One second. Also some kind of channel, I guess. We've got connecting the support levels. We can connect the resistance levels pretty easily. And you can see that pretty nice channel. So not that interested in shorts because we're pretty much getting to the bottom of that channel. So maybe not this one. Pound yen, I talked about it, but euro yen, not too big fan of those pairs. But I do like the Aussie. I find the Kiwi interesting for long potential and then down. And the Aussie and the Kiwi could easily, though, make a retracement first, like this, before finding the upside. Aussie, same thing, breakout, but could make down before up as well. Euro, downside. Oh, it's actually moving already as we speak. Look, this is the break indeed occurring of the triangle. So we're getting the break. 5 minutes, this candle's closing. Let's take a look at the pound. Also making a golfing twin. So how about the dollar yen? So moving up a bit, but that's moving into resistance, so not that interesting. So euro, dollar, euro odd USD, Kiwi looked the most interesting. Dollar CAD, we'll keep an eye on these trend lines. Let's see, euro yen, we'll keep an eye on the support level as well. Don't like the breakout of this zone because it's so choppy. Pound yen is closer to resistance and pound odd closer to support. So, but yeah, the others seem a bit more interesting. Could take a look at the odd yen, considering the pound yen is closer to resistance, the pound odd closer to support. See what the odd yen is saying to me. Oh, there we go. Let's see. Well, it's a bit of a mess here. This is just a wild combination of corrections to a certain degree. I mean, we've got even a very wide channel like this going on, and yeah, it's just halfway at the moment. So yeah, it's not giving us much information at the moment. Got a resistance trend line like this. We could even put a support trend line like that. So we got even a range or a triangle within this flag or channel. And it's halfway that triangle, and it's halfway that channel. With moving averages that are totally on top of each other. Great. So no, that doesn't really give much information. Obviously, the odd did have some strength here from a price action point of view. So probably a bit more odd than strength expected because of that than yen. But otherwise, it looks like 50-50. So perhaps a bit more odd strength, which would mean that we would expect a bit more yen weakness. So pound, the pound odd to odd strength, which means pound odd to break to the downside, in fact. Yen weakness for pound yen to move up, opposite from actually what we're looking at, resistance and support. So those not really supporting it. That analysis is contrary to that analysis of this of these two pairs, and your odd therefore looking a bit better for the downside. All right, just a few more, 2 more minutes or 1.5 more minutes. Yeah, left, and we'll take a look at the pound USD. Sorry about that. So pound USD and euro USD. Looking like a breakout, as I said, to the downside. Good space on the euro dollar, and if a candle like this closes, I think that could be already a signal for downside. The other way would be to wait for a 4-hour candle close that closes below 110. I think that's the number one signal. I think the hourly is a number two signal, is a bit lower rated signal, but could be an early signal. The 110 is the support level, and we are definitely trying to break through it. I would consider it broken if it goes through 109.80, or if there's a good candle close on the 4-hour chart. And 1-hour chart, well, it could be an early signal that we're pushing, but it's still an early signal. So I think that typically if you look at 4-hour break of fractals, it's good to wait for a 20 pip break. So that's why I said 109.70 as a pending order. It still hasn't been hit. Also 97, 109.75 is a quarter level. So I would, with a pending, I would go to 109.70. And but this is a good hourly candle, so it could certainly be already. There's a very good chance, or just a decent chance at least, that this is already the start of that downtrend. So it depends how quick a trader wants to take it. Could be a small pullback to the trend line at 110.11. I think if stop losses are above 110.50, it should be okay. I think that we're definitely in bearish territory already, considering all these things we already talked about. And it looks like we could be in or about to start this breakout to the downside. So I think the euro dollar looks good for today for downside. Let's see if tomorrow, if that indeed is true. Pound USD also, although definitely bullish price action here, could be a correction to the downside, engulfing twin. Could be already a signal for shorts right there, or a break below 154 and an entry at 153.95, a stop loss. Above probably this top here, and a target at 152.80, but I would be cautious of this 153.50 level. That could be a bouncing spot still. So I would be using a trade management that would be cautious of this support level. Could still see a bounce here. Yeah, euro pound, that makes a lot of sense to take a look at that. We see a bearish weekly candle. Bearish month, in fact, as well. Crossover with these moving averages. So all bearish, 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 bearish. So euro looking better from that point of view than the pound weakness. And here you can see downtrend again. A bit of divergence between these 1 hour bottoms, but so yeah, eventually we could see maybe retracement and continuation to the downside. For the moment, price is below this 21 band. So yeah, euro looks better than pound for shorts. Good idea. Euro pound looks like an evening star. Let's see. This, I would say engulfing twin right here. Bearish engulfing twin. So that's pretty strong chart pattern. You see it like an evening star. Okay. The current one, you mean? This one. Last three. Ah, yeah. Yeah. Well, blue, red. Yes, these three. Yeah. There could be definitely something to be cautious of from a short perspective is these bottoms. Because this is a big zone right in here. And although the price action is bearish, when we run into 70 again, it could be yet another bouncing spot. But there's still some space down to there. So from this point of view, there's still, it's not that immediate or urgent at this point. But if it does push one more time, obviously there's divergence between these bottoms. Eventually, it could be another supportive factor for upside. I agree with that. Oh yeah, the euro odd. But I would like to have a bit of a pullback here. Alrighty, folks. Well, thanks for joining. We've got some more webinars tomorrow to take a look at price action. And Nana's going to take a look at a price action trading school. No, this is actually the wrong schedule. Sorry about that. I was looking into the future. No, tomorrow we get the strategy price action. As I said, he's going to take a look. Nana's going to take a look at channel bounces trading system. And Nana and I are going to take a look at trading trend reversals. Next week, we're not going to have the same webinar. It will be 2 weeks from now. So on the 17th of November, next week I won't have any webinars. I'll take a week off, but I'll be back 2 weeks from now. And of course, tomorrow and Thursday with Nenet. So thanks for joining again and wish you all a great day and great trading. Cheers.